Welcome to the second day in Frankfurt. Yesterday we shared with you the Chinese garden, dinosaurs, the opera, the famous Euro symbol, and many other things.
We drink and we dance, you don't give it a chance, is it really?
After a good night's sleep, we wake up early in the morning.
When you're around,
We have breakfast to gather our strength for this long day of sightseeing ahead.
and I am just your friend. What if all of my love is yours? What if
Today we continue exploring the city and take you with us on this sunny day. And to start off well, we choose to gain some height for the beginning of the day. We are heading to the main tower.
I'm letting you go? I won't be your backup call, 'cause for such a long time, my heart is
It's not surprising that Frankfurt is nicknamed the New York of Europe, given the wide streets and skyscrapers in this area. We are at the foot of the tower and get our tickets.
We never talk about the way we
The ascent of 200 meters takes about 30 seconds and you don't feel a thing.
love was yours.
The main tower is an iconic skyscraper located in the center of Frankfurt. Its facade is made of light blue glass, reflecting the sky and the nearby Main River.
We last for
Today, the main tower has become a symbol of the city of Frankfurt and is a popular destination for those seeking panoramic views of the city. It was built in 1999 and stands at a height of 200 meters, making it currently the fourth tallest building in the city. It was designed by the German architect Meinhard van Gerken. The panoramic view is fantastic. It was worth the €9 per person.
I'm letting you go. I won't be a backup call, 'cause for such a long time, my heart is on hold.
We descend from the tower just as quickly as we ascended. And it's worth mentioning that we don't regret going there early in the morning, as crowds are already gathering at the entrance of the building. We stroll through the modern streets and head towards the Memorial Gutenberg Denkmal. It was inaugurated on the occasion of the 400th anniversary of the invention of the printing press and commemorates creator Gutenberg. It's a monument fountain built in a neo-Gothic style with a sandstone pedestal, and the first stone was laid on November 6, 1854. Three life-size figures stand on the foundation representing Gutenberg, his printers and his patrons Hans Faust and Peter Schoeffer. Under the main cornice, there are 14 medallion portraits of famous typographic printers, and below them there are coats of arms representing places that played a part in the invention of printing: Mainz, Strasbourg, Frankfurt, and Venice. The main causes of the invention of printing, namely theology, poetry, natural sciences, and industry, are represented by allegorical figures seated at the corners of the memorial space. We head towards the main river and its famous bridge. And on the way, we catch sight of the house where Goethe grew up. In 1795, after the death of his father, the house was sold. The last owner arranged a small commemorative space in the attic, and when a significant restructuring of the building took place in 1863, an association managed to acquire it, making the house of the first memorial site dedicated to the poet. The house was destroyed in 1944 during the war, and its reconstruction began in 1947, faithfully replicating the original design. Adjacent to the house is a museum dedicated to Goethe and a commemorative statue. now arrive at the famous bridge in Frankfurt, the Eisenach Bridge, known as the Iron Bridge. It spans the Main River and connects the city center of Frankfurt to Sachsenhausen, a historic district located on the south bank of the river. This pedestrian bridge, built in 1868, is made of steel in a neo-Gothic style. It stretches approximately 170 meters long and offers a magnificent view of the city and the Main River. The bridge is also known for the thousands of padlocks that couples hang on it to symbolize their eternal love. It's a popular tourist attraction in Frankfurt that you shouldn't miss. This bridge also provides a splendid view of the city skyline, famous for its skyscrapers and often referred to as Manhattan due to the Main River flowing through the city. Frankfurt is home to numerous banks and financial institutions, which partly explain the significance of its skyline. These skyscrapers create an impressive horizon line that can be seen from afar. The city is also known for its many skyscrapers under construction, a testament to its continuous growth and its role in the global economy. From the bridge, we spot a boat that catches our attention and we make our way there to enjoy a drink. We take the opportunity to admire the view of the bridge, the skyline and the Main River, where people are seen paddleboarding, boating and rowing. As for us, it's time to continue our journey along the Main River promenade. The weather is perfect for a leisurely stroll. We arrive at the old bridge and notice a building with what appears to be an exhibition. Curiosity piques our interest and we enter to discover a video installation by young artists. After crossing the bridge, we reach the St. Bartholomew Cathedral. It's a Catholic church located in the historic center of the city. Its origins dates back to the 7th century when Merovingian King Dagobert I had a church built at the current site in 852. It was expanded and modified several times over the following centuries until it was destroyed by a fire in 1867. The construction of the current cathedral began in 1875 and was completed in 1952. Indeed, between October 1943 and March 1944, the old town of Frankfurt, the largest Old Gothic city in Central Europe, was destroyed by 6 bombings by the Allied forces. The physical devastation of the Imperial Old Town was intended to undermine public support for the war. The most significant losses occurred on March 22, 1944. Over 1,000 buildings in the old town, mostly half-timbered houses, were destroyed. The church suffered severe damage and the interior was completely burned. The current building is a 95-meter-long old church. Architect Maximilian von Horn designed the cathedral in a neo-Gothic style using materials such as red sandstone for the facade and nave columns. Today, it's an active place of worship and an important landmark of the city. It's possible to climb the cathedral tower by ascending over 300 steps in a narrow staircase to reach the 60-meter-high observation platform. However, we won't be doing that today as we opted for the elevator at the main tower. Located just behind the cathedral, we now find ourselves in the smallest district of Frankfurt, the Neue Altstadt, meaning New Old Town. Strange denomination, you might say. Why New Old? Well, simply because the medieval Old Town was reconstructed and completed in 2018 with astonishing authenticity. 35 houses, including faithful reconstruction of the original buildings, and 20 new structures form the lively new district. Walking through this neighborhood allows you to discover the history of the metropolis, from the earliest traces of Roman settlement to the modern buildings. You will encounter numerous epochs and architectural styles within a few meters of each other. You can't help but admire the detailed Renaissance facade of the Golden Wedge. Simply magnificent.
I wish to be me.
You'll also find the statue of the poet and writer Friedrich Stolz, known for his poems in the local dialect. Stolz's bronze bust is placed on a round column with 3 fountain basins. Just across from it is a museum of modern and contemporary art. And we discover a passage that leads us to a splendid inner courtyard, Goldenes Lamchen, which translates to Golden Lamp Courtyard. The reconstructed building and its courtyard showcase 4 different construction periods. You'll find a harmonious blend of structures dating from 15th, 17th, 18th and 20th centuries. We are heading towards the most famous square in Frankfurt. The Römerberg Place is one of the most historic and picturesque squares in the city. With a rich history dating back to the medieval period, its name Römerberg literally means Roman mountain in German, as it was the site of the Roman colony of Nida. During the Middle Ages, the square served as the political and commercial center of Frankfurt. It hosted annual trade fairs that attracted merchants and visitors from across Europe. Over the centuries, numerous important buildings were constructed around the square, including the historic Frankfurt City Hall, Römer, dating back to the 15th century, which is now used as a reception center for the official guests of the city. Römerberg has also witnessed significant historical events. In 1848, revolutionary demonstration took place there, and in 1933, the Nazis organized a large gathering on the square to celebrate their seizure of power in Germany. After World War II, Römerberg was largely destroyed and later rebuilt in the 1950s. Today, it's a popular tourist attraction and a venue for cultural events and Christmas markets. The Justice Fountain, built in 1543, is the only surviving fountain among the many that once adorned the city. It features a bronze statue of the Roman goddess of justice, Justitia, holding a balance in one hand and a sword in the other. The statue stands on a decorated stone pedestal depicting scenes from daily life, as well as allegories of prudence, strength, and temperance. We briefly stop at the Church of Our Lady, which was constructed in 1932-1933. During World War II, it was partially destroyed and restored in the 1950s. Leaving the church, we now head towards St. Paul Square and explore more beautiful streets of the city. We are now approaching St. Paul Square, which is a historic square in the heart of Frankfurt. But before that, let's take a moment to observe the surrounding buildings and discover a charming inner courtyard. Dominating the square is the St. Paul Church, a classical-style building that took 44 years to construct from 1789 to 1833. It's one of the most important landmarks in the city. As a symbol of German democracy, it served as a venue for the National Assembly from 1848 to 1849, when the first constitution was drafted. On the north side, we can see the monument of the victims of National Socialism, and on the south side, the monument to unity. We are now heading toward Liebfrauenberg Brunnen Square, where yesterday we spotted some terraces and street food stalls. Feeling hungry, we eagerly go for a Frankfurt sausage and fries. The square is lively, and we discover a Baroque fountain dating back to 1769. The Liebfrauenkirche is a Gothic church located on Liebfrauenberg and the northern part of the old town of Frankfurt. It was built in several construction phases from the 14th to the 16th century and currently serves as a monastery and Catholic rectory church. Due to its proximity to Zell, it plays an important role in the pastoral care of the city center. The monastery courtyard, which is open to the public, is appreciated as a peaceful place beyond the Catholic community. We now find ourselves on Zell Street, which is the largest shopping street in Frankfurt. It's also the street with the highest sales turnover in Germany, and approximately 17,000 customers stroll there per hour. Just next to it, the St. Catherine Church is under construction, making it impossible to visit. However, it's important to know that it's the largest Lutheran church in the city dedicated to the martyr St. Catherine of Alexandria. The Jewish Cemetery of Frankfurt is one of the oldest and best preserved Jewish cemeteries in Europe. It's an important testament of the history of the Jewish community in Frankfurt, which was one of the most significant in Europe over the centuries. Over 12,000 people are buried in the cemetery, including rabbis, scholars, and important figures of the community. After the war, restoration work was undertaken to preserve the cemetery, and many tombstones were repaired or replaced. The Jewish Cemetery of Frankfurt is surrounded by a long wall and a small iron gate. The most impressive part is on the outside, where the names of hundreds of Jews, along with the date and place of their death, are inscribed. It gives the impression of an endless wall, and one feels a genuine pang of sadness. We take the tram to head towards the Ostend district. Once a cosmopolitan neighborhood with a bad reputation, its popularity has grown, particularly due to the fact that the new European Central Bank is located in this district. It has now transformed into an ideal neighborhood. From an industrial area, it has become the modern part of the city. The neighborhood is also close to the zoo. Located on the banks of the main river between the European Central Bank and the cathedral, the Houston offers stunning views of the Frankfurt skyline, as well as the Hoftafen, the former industrial port. This theme is reflected in the decoration of this bar, with pallets used as tables and the terrace built around an old crane. From here, we enjoy the lively atmosphere of the Houston and its skyline view in the evening. After this relaxing moment, it's time to head back, and we take a stroll through the park. We discover sports fields, accessible to everyone, a group of people dancing salsa, and a skate park. After spending 2 days in Frankfurt, it's clear why it's ranked at the 7th most livable city in the world. The blend of genres and eras makes Frankfurt an exemplary city that preserves its history while harmoniously embracing the future. It's a city that has achieved economic development and has a functional transportation network. Frankfurt has successfully combined medieval history and modernity with great taste. not to mention its numerous museums and 8,000 hectares of green belt. In short, Frankfurt has been shaped as a city where living is pleasant and with great tourist potential. See you soon for new discoveries.